Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a procedure that literally gives people their lives back, the total ankle replacement. We're going to break down what the absolute best surgeons are thinking, what they're doing, and what it really takes to successfully reconstruct an ankle. Let's get into it.
So, everything really starts with this one simple question. And for a surgeon, the answer is a huge, resounding no. You see, every single case of ankle arthritis is different. Each one has its own unique puzzles and challenges, and that's exactly what makes this surgery such a mastercraft.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, a total ankle replacement, or TAR for short, is where a surgeon goes in, removes all the damaged arthritic surfaces of the ankle joint, and then replaces them with these incredibly engineered artificial parts. The whole point is to get rid of that chronic, grinding pain and give you back a functioning ankle.
But here's the thing that might surprise you. A great outcome doesn't begin on the operating table. Nope, it starts way before that, with the single most important piece of the whole puzzle, the patient. This first phase is all about building a solid foundation for success.
And this, right here, might be the most critical piece of wisdom in this whole guide. More than any fancy surgical tool, more than any technique, choosing the right patient for the surgery is the #1 predictor of success. If you get this step wrong, even a technically perfect surgery can end up being a failure. It's that important.
And managing all these risks, it's not a one-person show. The surgeon is like the quarterback of a whole team of specialists. You've got endocrinologists getting blood sugar under control, vascular docs checking on circulation. It's a total team effort to get the patient, the whole person, ready for a smooth recovery.
Okay, so you manage all those obvious risks, but what about the stuff you can't easily see? For example, what happens if a patient's own body decides it doesn't like the very metals that the new joint is made of?
And wow, when you look at the data on nickel allergies, which is a super common metal in implants, the difference is just staggering. Up to 17% of women have this allergy, but only 3% of men do. This is exactly why you have to screen for this stuff beforehand. It's absolutely critical to avoid a really painful reaction after the surgery.
All right, let's head into the operating room. This is where all that careful planning gets put into action. And it's not just about construction, it's true artistry, all guided by a very precise surgical blueprint.
You know that saying, you can't build a straight house on a crooked foundation? Well, it is literally true in surgery. Before the surgeon even thinks about opening the box with a new implant, their first job is to fix any major deformities in the ankle. You have to get that foundation right, or the new joint is just doomed to fail.
The procedure itself follows this really elegant logical flow. So once that foundation is stable, the surgeon meticulously prepares the surfaces of the bones so they can support the implant. Only then do they align and place the new components, and the final check is to make sure the joint is perfectly balanced and stable as it moves.
And when we talk about alignment, it's not just one thing. It's like this incredible four-dimensional puzzle. The surgeon has to get it perfect from the front, perfect from the side, make sure there's absolutely no rotational twist, and place it in the exact right spot from side to side. Nailing all four of those, that's the signature of a master at work.
But the best surgeons are playing chess, not checkers. They're not just thinking about today. They're already planning for a future where that patient might need another surgery, maybe decades from now. And that means being incredibly precise, preserving every last millimeter of healthy bone they can. It's all about leaving good options on the table for the patient's entire life.
Okay, the implant's in. Job done? Not even close. Now the focus shifts to defense. This whole next phase is about protecting the patient from infection and other problems, basically guarding the body while it starts the healing process. And that defense begins with technique. It's about how you handle the skin, the muscles, everything. Being incredibly gentle and then closing that wound in multiple, perfect layers creates a powerful biological barrier. This careful work is probably the single most effective way to prevent wound problems down the line.
But what if you could add another layer of armor? There's this really intriguing little piece of advice from the experts, and it's just this. The white powder works. What on earth could they be talking about?
Well, the secret is out. That white powder is vancomycin, a really powerful antibiotic. Surgeons can literally sprinkle this powder right into the joint space just before they close up. And study after study has shown this one simple step can drastically slash the risk of a deep, devastating infection. It's amazing.
And this is a perfect example of how medicine is always learning. Surgeons used to put drains in all the time to get fluid out. But now we know that a drain can actually act like a highway for bacteria to get inside. So the modern way, that careful, layered closure, is just a much safer and better barrier. Another huge defensive move is preventing blood clots, which is a serious risk after any major surgery. So patients are put on blood thinners, like aspirin or other specific medications, just to make sure their blood keeps flowing smoothly while they're not moving around as much during that early recovery period.
So the surgery's done, the defenses are all in place. What's next? Well, this final part is all about the patient's road to recovery and a little peek at what the future holds for this incredible surgery.
You know, recovery isn't a race to the finish line. It's this carefully managed balancing act. The real goal is to find that sweet spot for rehab. You don't want to be too aggressive, but you can't be too slow either. It's all about giving the body exactly what it needs to heal right and get the best possible function in the long run.
Which brings up a fascinating question, right? This field is changing all the time. New implants, new technologies. So how does a surgeon who's already a master stay at the absolute top of their game?
And this quote right here says it all. It's about a deep commitment to continuous, lifelong learning. A master surgeon doesn't just dabble. They become a true expert in one system inside and out. Then they learn another one, and then another one after that. That hunger to always be learning, that's what really defines mastery.
And if you want to talk about learning new things, the future is incredibly exciting. I mean, it's basically already here. For the absolute toughest cases, surgeons are now designing custom, 3D-printed implants and surgical guides. This tech is already saving limbs that just a few years ago might have been lost. It's really pushing the envelope of what's even possible. In the end, it really all comes down to this one simple, powerful word. This surgery isn't just about replacing a worn-out part. It's about giving a person back their mobility, their freedom, their life. It is a true act of reconstruction. And it makes you wonder, as technology like this keeps getting better, what else about ourselves will we be able to rebuild next?